Big thanks to MSI and Nvidia for sponsoring today's video. When this whole Minecraft RTX thing was first revealed, I'll admit I didn't really get it. I mean, we've had modded shaders in the game for donkey's years, they looked good, they continue to look good, so when this RTX ray tracing stuff showed up, I and many others are kinda left scratching our heads thinking, don't we already have this? What's the big deal? And honestly, it's only when I physically got my hands onto the RTX beta and experienced it myself that it finally clicked and I was like, oh, I get it. Now, as mentioned, MSI have been kind enough to provide me with a build to try out the RTX beta. It's kind of long been a joke that if you use shaders, you should be prepared to play Minecraft as a PowerPoint slideshow. I know I've struggled to run them in the past, and I was a bit apprehensive when I was loading up this apparent ultra fancy souped up version of the game, but gotta say, the MSI card could not have cared less about what it was being asked to do. It devoured everything the RTX beta threw at it, and then asked for seconds. If you want more details about the card or the build I used, you can check down in the description below. So there's been a lot of buzz about the Minecraft RTX beta recently, and Nvidia collaborated with some of the community to create these really great builds and worlds to showcase what Minecraft RTX can do. These are super cool, but you know me, I like to get down into the nitty gritty, and I actually really wanted to home in on the finer details. Again, what is the big deal with RTX? The answer is RTX is entirely, completely about light. Now you might be thinking, oh well, Minecraft kind of already has light, or shaders add proper light, but that's actually not correct. Traditional shaders that we've come to know don't create true light. They paint an imitation that tries to look something like light, but is actually much more static than you'd think. What traditional shaders typically do is take the terrain in its current state, consider where everything is in relation to everything else, then apply a formula and bake some light bits and dark bits onto the terrain, and that gives the impression of light. But it's really quite rudimentary when you actually look at it. I'm going to show you how RTX's real-time ray tracing behaves differently and how it's actually a completely different beast. So a lot of people have been showcasing this in beautiful broad daylight or really well lit scenes to show all the marvels that are taking place. And I'll show you some too. But I think a really good way to explain what's going on here is to strip all that back and turn down the lights. Here we are in the darkness. Now I'm going to place down a light source and I want you to watch what happens in the surroundings. You can see that these nearby mounds have been illuminated, where the nearer mounds are glowing quite bright, and the further out you go, the more diffused the light becomes. But what I really want you to look at is that distant one over there. Even though this light source is quite far away, it's still managing to influence surfaces all over the place. And the reason is because unlike traditional shaders, this is mimicking real-life light. It's creating rays that shoot out in a straight line that can then bounce off onto other surfaces. You might notice some flickering and this strange disturbance effect where the light hums in and out of place. This is because the game is doing all this in real time. So every time you move or the angle changes, the game endlessly reassesses how those rays should ultimately hit. Another key difference is RTX treats all objects and surfaces equal. Traditional shaders do a decent job when it's just blocks on the tile grid because even though Minecraft terrain can be altered, it typically stays pretty still and predictable. A mountain in the distance or the roof of your house isn't going to be manipulated too often. Mobs, entities and stuff that moves on the other hand, they don't like them. Those are unpredictable and hard to bake pretend light onto. Here we have another light source. But watch what happens when this minecart, a moving, unpredictable entity, gradually obscures it. The rays, as they should do, accept the minecart as a real solid object and allow it to block and absorb them. But you can see this has actually affected the tile grid too. This all sounds obvious because in our real world, of course, that's how light should interact with objects, movable or not. But that's really hard to fake with the techniques traditional shaders employ. Being able to anticipate and react in this way is much more sophisticated than you might first think. If you've got access to lifelike light, there's all sorts of visual effects you can pull off because light affects practically every material in different ways. This glass, for example, can now warp and distort as you'd expect. A similar thing happens with water where everything kind of gets smushed. It's like when you look into a still swimming pool and the distortion makes it look much shallower than it truly is. Reflective surfaces are really one of the most impressive features in all of this. Reflection is taking place everywhere, but on highly reflective blocks like diamond, it's so clear you can tell what everything is without even turning your head. Not in exactly the same way, but because of reflection, I managed to spot a ravine that would be impossible to discern under normal circumstances. I was literally miles away, but what's wacky is the lava light at the bottom was able to bounce all the way to the top and to the surrounding opening that I could spot it from a few hundred blocks away. I was surprised the game was even able to render all these, at times, unnoticed processes without complaining. Like I said, when I first heard about this, I was a bit confused on its significance, but after playing it myself, I can see there's some really impressive technological stuff going on here, and that this is actually very different to what we've seen in the past, despite seeming similar at first glance. Definitely give it a go yourself. I hope I've explained what this is and cleared up any confusion you might have had. Once again, a shout out to MSI and Nvidia for the opportunity to try this whole thing out, but that is pretty much all there is to it. I do hope you enjoyed, guys. I've been Simply Sark, and I will catch you in the next one.